I guess we're all afraid of something.
Csóri. És érted, hogy juthatott haza a lánya ezek után?
After Sam died, my mom and Edie got really close. They'd both lost a lot.
Gregory. Ez kisbaba. De... Hálókereset.
Dear Kay, do you remember the way Gregory used to laugh when he thought he was alone? Like something funny was happening, but only he could see it.
Oh, no.
I think he saw things the rest of us don't.
Már. Hát várj. PK-val vagyunk.
Bath time's over, Gregory. It's time to...
Oh.
Hold on, sweetie.
Itt
Hello?
hagyta a kisgyereket magára.
Sam, I told you I don't want to talk right now.
I wonder what he saw. What his world was like. He reminded me so much of Calvin. Lost in his imagination. Whatever it was, he saw. It sure made him happy.
Huh.
I know how silly it
shampoan.
sounds.
Felhozott a víz.
That I worried about a baby being too happy.
Nem lehet kiugrani.
But I could feel him slipping away.
Sorry about that, Gregory.
I know you did everything you could.
Igen. Leengedték a vizet.
Maybe if I hadn't called that night.
Damn it. Hold on, I don't want Gregory to hear this.
Ah,
I wish he could have told us
és visszaengedte a vizet.
about the world he saw. There's so much I don't understand about Gregory, about everything.
Megfulladt a srác.
But I know what happened wasn't your fault. I'm sure he's happy. he'd want you to be happy too. Good luck, Kay.
Nem már.
Love, Sam.
Az anyja miatt, mert ott hagyta egyedül. Meghalt a kisrác. Hát... Azt rohadtul nem számítottam most erre. Ennyire... Nem is tudom... durva storytellingre.
I can't imagine my mom ever writing poetry
From Gus.
yet.
A poem for Gus, who always said the wedding was a bad idea. Our father never hit us kids,
Isn't
at
it?
least not very hard, before the day my brother said with teenage disregard that he'd be dead before he'd see a wedding in our yard. My father made him come, of course, but Gus stood far apart, just flew his kite and bottled up the storm inside his heart. I tried to talk him out of it, but though he'd never met her, we don't need a stepmom were the words that
Megtudjuk,
I remember.
hogy mi történt.
When the time for photos came, Dad ordered him to come here. But Gus declined, and as a sign held up his middle finger.
Uh,
The wind picked up, and panicked geese appeared and quickly went. But
feltámadt
all
a
the humans
vihar,
did that day was go inside the tent.
és mindenki bement a sátorba, elkezdett esni az eső.
The rain came down in buckets then, but no one seemed afraid that nature might destroy the tent our dad had crudely made.
A vihar feltámadt.
The thunder sounded much too close and full of angry power. But all my
A gyerek
father
meg
said
leszarta.
was, make the music louder.
És belekapott a sátorba.
I wish that I could truly say I thought about you on that day. Out there on the beach alone, just you, the wind, the sea, and
Mekkora
foam.
hullámok azok el.
But I didn't. Until we found you.
És meghalt a viharban a kisrác.
She never talked about him, but Mom told me once if I was a boy, they were going to name me Gus.
Hát... Ha fiú lett volna, már Gusnak hívták volna, hihetet. És komolyan ezen megyünk
My mom
föl?
moved up to the loft after her brothers died. At the time, it was as far away as she could get. She spent a summer building houses in Calcutta, where she met my dad, Sanjay.
Sanjay. Érdekes, ővele jött össze.
Religion was another thing my mom never talked about, but I think it helped her a lot after her dad died.
De lehet jönni. Le lehet csúszni. Hát várj. Visszajöttem ugyanide. Zászlóhúzás, reggeli, lámpaoltás, feladatok. Elsöprés, kuka, felmosás, fűnyírás, babáskodás. Mi az a babáskodás? 100 ugrálókötél, 150 terpesztőkurás, 100 fekvő. Mi az Isten ez alatt? Várjál. azért jövök csak vissza, mert mondom, hát ha valamit itt hagytam esetleg. Hogy valamit nem vettem észre. Jó. Az ablak.
My mom moved to India a week after graduation and got a job teaching English. Louis was born a
Angolt
year later.
tanított Indiában. Az anyja. Hát lefele nem megyünk.
When my dad died, I don't think Mom knew where else to go. I'm sure Edie was happy to have her back.
Hilton, Louise. Asta.
And to see kids in the house again.
Milyen fasza?
The house had to get a little bigger, but Edie was used to that. And for a while, things were good. Almost normal. But it didn't last.
Edith Finch.
The beginning of the end was Milton's 10th
Ez
birthday,
azért veszélyes egy
when Edie
kicsit.
gave him a castle.
Milton.
After Milton disappeared, the only thing he left behind was a room full of paintings.
Nem írták ki, hogy meghalt, mert csak eltűnt. Nem tudják, hogy mi történt. Lehet, hogy nem is találták meg. Ez mi? Kötél? El lehet húzni magunkat. Ez Miltonnak az emlékműve itt igazából. Nem tudjuk, mi történt vele.
Milton Finch in The Magic Paintbrush.
Varázsecset. Azt az ügyes. Mennyi papír van ezen? De ügyesen meg van csinálva. Mi az egy ajtó? Ha, az egy ajtó. Kreatív.
I was 4 when Milton disappeared.
És akkor Louise van még? Akkor lassan már a végére érünk, srácok. Lefele kell mennünk?
Mom spent months searching for my brother. Then she sealed the doors. Whatever Milton had found in the house, Mom didn't want it getting out.
Megnézem, itt mi van. Semmi.
Mom definitely blamed Edie, but I think Louis blamed himself. After he graduated, he just spent more and more time in his room. Until Mom got him a job at the cannery.
Most arra... Hát igen, csak erre lehet. Ilyen jól néz ki ez is.
Louis's room smelled very, very familiar. That part of him lived on.
Edith Finch.
Dear Mrs. Finch, as Lewis's psychiatrist, I can understand your desire for an explanation. As I see it, the trouble began in January, shortly after we convinced your son to seek treatment for substance abuse. Newly sober, I believe Lewis first noticed the monotony of his daily life.
Ne.
He kept working at the cannery. But he withdrew part of himself. In our sessions, I saw the same behavior.
Ugyanazt csinálta.
His mind began to wander.
Ó,
I asked him to describe it.
igen, elkalandozott a
He said he
gondolataiban.
started small, imagining a labyrinth. He'd feel his way about. Then something moved. Bats
Denevérek.
and toads. And things that have not names.
Mi az
He
Darkest
knew it was
Dungeon?
all in his head. But he took it very seriously. I had hoped he'd find himself.
Egyre többet vesz ki a gondolatai.
But he found something more.
Azt a...
I worried about him then. Daydreaming at the cannery. I spoke with his boss. But he said Lewis had become a model employee. Methodical, tireless, focused. Like a whole new Lewis.
Egyszerre két dologra kell figyelni.
So I let him go on.
Tényleg egyre több mindent akar
I
ki.
even encouraged him. It seemed very promising at first. He told me he'd made a new friend. On the edge of a city he named Lewis Topia.
Dystopia.
He built the city up slowly, brick by brick. Then he made musicians. And songs for them to play. He talked about starting a band. And he was always humming something.
Egyre több mindent vesz
Every day
neki.
his imagination grew stronger. He no longer spoke at the cannery. But his chopping was as reliable as ever. Then one day it struck him that all the cheering crowds, even the stones under his feet, were all in his imagination, so he could do whatever he wished.
Nem olyan egyszerű
He
ez,
held an
szóval.
election for mayor. And he won. They begged him to stay, but his mind was already wandering. It became a game for him.
Azt a... Tényleg alig látunk valamit.
He'd conquer a city, then immediately push on. New Louisville,
New Louisville.
St. Louis.
St. Louis.
He
Vagyunk, hogy
started
lesz,
drifting away from our reality.
vagyunk, hogy lesz majd Louisiana.
Minneapolis,
Minneapolis.
until one day he forgot to go home from the cannery.
Csoda.
Even as his mother pleaded with him, part of Lewis kept sailing on.
elfelejtett hazamenni.
In Louisburg, he heard rumors of a
Hát csak a királynő.
handsome queen. The queen was on her own quest for sinister serpents.
A veszedelmes vízikígyót.
He followed the sound of her silver harp. His chase led him to a golden palace east of the sun and west of the moon. Even then, his logic remained sound.
Ajaj.
He knew the world was all in his imagination.
Szóval egyre nehezebb.
But he was so proud of having created it. In his own eyes, he'd become something greater than a king. For someone who'd never known success in the real world, I think it was overwhelming. And then it struck him that the real Louis was not the one chopping salmon, but the one climbing the steps of a golden palace. My imagination is as real as my body, he told me. It was hard to
Eddig
argue
jók
with him.
vagyunk. Azt a rohadt. Végigvittük úgy, hogy nem kurtuk el.
He began to forget the world we know.
A konzervgyár.
I think it pained him to remember Louis, the cannery worker.
Ott van. Jézusom. Akkor most mi vagyunk az anyja, akik mennek hozzá.
He began to despise the man with a royal contempt.
Azt tudod. Hát nincs is hal, amit fel kell dolgozni, csak csinálja a dolgokat. Baszki. És fogta is?
I still thought I could save him. Even after he said he was being crowned king over all the lands of wonder.
Mi a
The
fel?
palace would be packed with his companions.
Azt nem mondd, hogy ledarálta magát.
Including the wise Calico who'd insisted on advising him. His queen waited, holding his crown. There was only one thing left to do. Bend down his head. rest I think you know. Mrs. Finch, your son was a kind man who will be missed by all of us who knew him.
Szveg. Annyira depressziós lett és saját világába fordult bele,
My brother was really cool.
hogy a
I
végén
wish you could have met him.
öngyilkos lett. Szóval ez a család tényleg el van átkozva. Szószoros értelmében.
On the way
Van
back
még
from
valaki?
Lewis's funeral, my mom told me to start packing. She waited until the day before we left to tell Edie. I'm not sure if she wanted to make it easier or harder.
Nem csodálom, hogy elmentek. Ez lenne a mi szobánk?
I wish we'd stayed. But I understand why we left.
Hogy ne értette
My mom
volna
ended
meg?
up leaving everything behind.
Mindent itt hagytak, ami ehhez a házhoz köti. Nem csodálom alatt, hát
What
mindenki
happened that night
meghalt a
had been coming for
családból.
a long time.
És
Maybe I
mindenki
should have come
baleset
sooner.
miatt halt meg.
But it had to end one way or another.
Ez a mi
All
szobánk.
that's left now is to tell you about that last night. That whole last day, Edie just watched us pack and didn't say a word. Until supper, when she raised her glass and said,
To our final night together, and all our final nights apart.
Grandma, you know what I said about alcohol. Some of your medications are very
Edith,
specific.
I left a present for you in the hallway. Why don't you go open it? The grown-ups have to argue now.
I'm sorry, you're right. We're all leaving tomorrow. Let's just enjoy our last...
I'm not leaving.
Edith, you're excused.
Ó. Szemekarod.
the power had been shut off that morning, but Edie always had plenty of candles. When my mom sealed the library, I don't think she knew about the other entrance. Or that Edie had a key to it.
Nyitva hagyta nekünk, hogy be tudjunk menni.
The thing you're afraid of isn't going to end when you leave the house. Edith has a right to know these stories.
My children are dead because of your stories. I
Oh.
think it's best if
Saját
Edith and I
anyát
leave
tévesztetje.
tonight. We'll have the nursing home send a van for you in the morning. Okay?
History of the Finches.
Dear Edith, there's so many stories I wish I could tell you, but there's only time for one. This is about what happened on the night you were born. That night,
A ház.
the tide went way, way out. It was the first and last time I ever saw the old house aground. There'd been an
Annyira
earthquake
visszahúzott,
out in the middle
átlehetett.
of the ocean.
Mert
They
földrengés volt
called
valahol.
it the lowest tide in 1,000 years. God, it
És meg tudta
smelled
nézni a
awful.
hávat.
You know, I've seen that house every day of my life.
Jaj.
But I never thought I'd go back to it. When the fog rolled in, I lost my way.
Leszállt a köd. És csak a hangot halljuk.
I got turned around. For a while, I wandered. I started seeing things.
Dolgokat kezdett el látni.
Things I'd forgotten had ever existed.
Minden egyes dolgot lát.
But when I saw them, they felt like old friends. That night,
Itt van
a
már
lot
Azzal.
of things came back to me. Or maybe I came back to them. Things I can't explain, but that I need you to try and...
Edith, what are you doing in here?
It's mine.
Edith!
Mom, you're gonna rip it. Let go. I kicked and screamed, but Mom dragged me to the car and
Itt hagyta a nagyanyját.
I never saw Great Grandma Edie again. The next morning, the van came to pick her up, but she was already gone.
Addigra öngyilkos lett a nagymama is.
After that, we moved around a lot. We both tried to make the best of it. A few years went by. My mom didn't like to talk about it, but she started getting sick a lot. The rest happened pretty quickly.
Meghalt az anyja.
She got better for a while, and then she didn't. And then I was alone. The last Finch left alive.
Jesus Christ, man.
Until I found out about you. I'm still not sure what to tell you about all this. If we lived forever, maybe we'd have time to understand things. But as it is, I think the best we can do is try to open our eyes. And appreciate how strange and brief all of this is.
Oh, ne.
This journal was supposed to be for you.
Tudjátok, hogy mi?
But now I hope you'll never see it. I just want to meet you and tell you all these stories myself. But I guess if you're reading this now, things didn't work out that way.
Micsoda?
This is where your story begins. I'm sorry I won't be there to see it. It's a lot to ask, but I don't want you to be sad that I'm gone. I want you to be amazed that any of us ever had a chance to be here at all.
Meg.
Good luck.
Hát az anyja meghalt szülés közben. A rohadt életbe. Ne szívessel már. Hát baszki. Nem igazán számítottam ilyen deep storytellingre, ilyen történetvezetésre. Ezt a rohadt élet. Hát nem tudom, mit tudnék hozzáfűzni igazából. Erős a története. Abból a szempont, tehát így hogy lebontja családra egészen pontosan, és nem tudom, hogy ennek mennyi a valóságtartalma, hogy valóban megtörténtek-e ezek a dolgok. Bár szerintem elképzelhető. Mondjuk ezek itt a készítők, akikről egyébként a karakterek lettek mintázva. Nem tudom, de mindegyiknek, mint az összes karakternek, aki ebben szerepelt, nagyon deep sztoria van, ami egyszerű, de mégis meghatja az embert. Nem tudom, nem igazán számítottam ilyenre. Kíváncsi lennék arra, hogy mi van, ha ezt csinálnak egy második részt, bár szerintem eléggé le lehet zárva ahhoz a történet, hogy ne kelljen. És eléggé volt egy íve a sztorinak is, nagyon szép elemeket használt, és tudott ötvözni eléggé szépen. Grafikailag nagyon ott volt a játék. Túl sok mindenről nem szólt, de amit bemutatott, az bőven megérte a pénzét. Kevés játék tud ilyet, ez egyértelmű. Köszönöm, hogy itt voltatok velem eme játék alkalmával. Jövő szombaton jövünk egy újabb, ehhez hasonló kis gémmel. Maradjatok velünk. Szevasztok!